It's a special week because the holiday season is here and Kris Kringle is ready to come down your chimney. He may be bringing you a Nintendo Switch 2, or maybe you already have one. Well, guess what, pal? Nintendo is also bringing some holiday cheer with a large Nintendo Switch 2 eShop sale. Now, we talked about the one during Black Friday, and you guys really seemed to enjoy it. And I would argue that the sales during the Christmas holiday season here are better than the ones that we saw on Black Friday. So we're going to go over some games that I recommend. Brett is also going to join me and give a couple of his recommendations. So a nice variety for all the little good girls and boys out there who are seeing Santa Claus this year, or the adults who just buy games for themselves. So let's take a look at the list that we have. The hits for the holidays. This is active from now, the time when you're watching this video, up until the 4th of January at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you got plenty of time to save, up to 50% savings. And right off the bat, like, this just brings me anger. Like, New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, it never should have been a full $60 game. And the fact that it's still like $40 just blows my mind. Like, I don't understand that. We do start off with quite a few Switch 1 games. If I had to make some picks, you know, Echoes of Wisdom, it is a good game. The inventory management, I don't know, it's definitely kind of annoying to me. And of course, Super Mario Odyssey, it did get a Switch 2 update patch. It's never looked or ran as good as it has before, and it's still one of my favorite Nintendo Switch 1 games, if not my favorite Nintendo Switch 1 games. But you know, Nintendo, they're never going to go too discounty on the price. Odyssey is $40. Echoes of Wisdom is $42. Fire Emblem Engage is good too. But Nintendo didn't really bring the savings when it came to first-party stuff. It's more so the third-party games where the fun really starts to begin. The first game we're going to talk about in this realm is Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition for the Nintendo Switch 2, down to $17.49. I'm going to go ahead and tell you this is by far the best bargain on this list, because that is a huge 75% off sale of the $70 retail price. And you know what? This is a great version of Cyberpunk 2077. I played it originally on the Xbox One back in the day, and it was hot doo-doo butter. But playing it on the Switch 2, I actually played through the entire game and really enjoyed myself. You know, once you get some of the cool stuff in the game and, you know, the sense of freedom that you have in it as well, it's a really fun game, and it's a fun game to just mess around with. And considering it's $17.49, if you only buy one Switch 2 game off of this list, I think that this is definitely the game to get. The next game we're going to talk about is the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Anniversary Edition. Now, this one's a little bit weird because it is the Nintendo Switch 1 version of the game. It's on sale for $23.99, but there is a free upgrade to the Switch 2 edition. This one is kind of something that I'm not 100% sold on, though. The game does run at 30 frames per second. There was some bad input lag, but Bethesda has already fixed it. I think this is going to be kind of a work in progress game, though, and I feel like eventually they're going to get this looking and running a lot better than it does now. So I would be hesitant on this, but if it feels like something you'll want to play eventually, you might as well save a good bit of money on the sale price of it, because like I said, you know, I do think this game will improve. It's just not at a really optimal state right now. Next up on the list, we have Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles for the Nintendo Switch 2, coming in at $40. This is one of the best, like, strategy RPG games of all time. You know, I don't really love the little modern filter that they put for the graphics in the game. I thought that was a bit unnecessary. I would have liked just a cleaner image than that kind of smudgy image, but you can go back to the original PS1 graphics. And I mean, this is a classic game, dude. Like, if you enjoy strategy RPGs, like, I still think this game holds up very, very well, and it's still a very, very fun game, too. Also on our list, we have Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Now, this is the Switch 1 version of the game, and it's $45, but you can upgrade to the Switch 2 edition of the game and still save some money. Now, I don't know if this is a game that maybe you could pick up cheaper at retail, but I really feel like if you're a fan of kart racing games, like Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is such a fun kart racer. You know, the Switch 1 version of the game is crusty. If you're buying it for the Switch 1, don't. Just keep playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and you will be fine with that. But the Switch 2 version of the game is actually very well done and was a lot of fun to play and is something that I think is a really enjoyable game. Obviously, you know, that's a full price release on the Switch 2, so I would find a way to get the Switch 1 version and then do the upgrade path to the Switch 2 edition, because I think that's the smartest thing to do. Now, we got a lot of stuff here that's probably going to look very appealing to you. I actually haven't played Ragebound or the new Shinobi game yet, and I've heard great things about both of them. I do know that they fixed Ragebound to be 60 frames per second, but I'm going to go with Nier Automata out of this little list here because it is $16, and this is a game that really surprised me. You know, it's a game that I didn't think I would enjoy as much as I did when it first came out on the Nintendo Switch, but I definitely did. It's a game that, you know, rewards you for multiple playthroughs and is a game that you can, you know, really enjoy multiple times, as there are many different things that end up happening. I'm trying to keep it somewhat vague, and honestly, some of the stuff I forgot about. But this is a super good game. There was problems with it on the Switch 2 when it first came out, but they have since then fixed the backwards compatibility issue. So I think that's a super good pickup there. And I also think Sonic X Shadows Generations for the Nintendo Switch 2 is another great pickup at $25. This is a game that looks great, plays great, and runs great on the system. You know, if you're a Sonic the Hedgehog fan, like, it's a super good game that I think you can get a lot of enjoyment out of, especially if you are someone who likes, you know, the classic style of Sonic and the more modern style of Sonic. It has the best of both worlds with it. Of course, the Shadow stuff is really fun and really well done in the game as well. So definitely a game that I recommend. No Man's Sky Nintendo Switch 2 Edition is on sale for $23.99, and I think this is quite a bargain. You know, it was an interesting game when it came out on the Nintendo Switch 1, but they definitely upped the, you know, presentation quality in the Nintendo Switch 2 version of it. It has parity with other console versions of the game as far as features and whatnot is concerned, and it's a really fun game. You know, there's rumors that Starfield is going to be coming out for the Switch 2, and, you know, I do think Starfield's probably going to be a pretty fun game for Switch 2 owners. I didn't really love it all that much, but it definitely doesn't really have that sort of space value like No Man's Sky does as a game. Like, I feel like there's a lot more exploration, more open-ended stuff in No Man's Sky than there is in Starfield. And really, at $23.99, this is something that you could enjoy now. And then when Starfield, if it comes out, but when it does, because it is going to come out on the Switch too, then you could get some additional stuff going on with that. And we also have one of the most beautiful looking games on the Nintendo Switch 2 with Fast Fusion on sale for just $10.49. And what can you say about this game that hasn't been said? Like, if you're a fan of Wipeout, you're a fan of F-Zero, you're a fan of futuristic racing games, this is an absolute no-brainer to pick up. It's one of the best looking games on the Switch 2 with multiple graphic and frames per second modes available to customize it as far as your liking is concerned. It does feature game share as well. There's multiplayer. It's a game that definitely is quite a looker. And at $10.49, like, that's the price of a fast food meal. Instead of buying, you know, Burger King, you know, getting yourself a Whopper, extra pickle, no onion, a large fry, and an orange soda. I believe they use Fanta at Burger King. Why not pick up Fast Fusion and then just eat some food at home? All right, so now we're going to throw it over to Brett, and Brett is going to give you some of his recommendations.
And we will start things off with Dying Light at 85% off, only $7.49. This is an awesome parkour zombie slaying game, and while this is a Switch 1 game, it's a very competent port. It's beautiful, it's action-packed, and very spooky at times, especially at night. Now this next one is one of my favorite games of all time, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It's 75% off at $7.49 which is an absolute steal for this experience. Visually, this game is eye candy. The animations are incredible, the story is surprisingly emotional, and the level design, a masterpiece. Full stop. I highly recommend this one, or the original Ori, which is also on sale right now for $4.99. If you love Metroidvanias, this series is an absolute must play. Then we have Inside, a moody, atmospheric puzzle platformer that will have you saying what the actual at the end. It's currently 90% off at $2. $2 for a game that was some people's game of the year that it came out. Two more for you guys. South Park: The Stick of Truth, which is 80% off at only $6. This is a strategy RPG that takes place in South Park. It's hilariously funny. They went places that even South Park fans didn't expect them to. Lastly has to go to Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. It's usually $50, but right now it's only $19.99. This was a beautifully done remaster of the original PSP game. It's got a super addicting gameplay loop, an emotional story, and it's one of the few games that actually made me shed a tear at the end. Now, back to Sean.
All right, folks, so those are mine and Brett's recommendations for this Nintendo Switch 2 and, by extension, Switch, the Nintendo eShop sale that's going on for essentially Christmas. Be sure to let me know in the comments section down below some games you recommend and help out your fellow man here. I mean, you saw the list. Like, there's a ton of games here and a ton of stuff. Some of the stuff that I haven't played, some of the stuff that I'm not really familiar with, maybe some of the stuff that you recommend. I'm thinking about this Romancing Saga game. Like, I don't know, but like $30, and I know they did like the Switch 2 edition runs at like 60 frames per second. I'm actually thinking about that, because I'm kind of in the mood for an RPG. You know, it's been a little while since RPG 85 really sat down and played through one. $30, you know, I think the game looks pretty good. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.